Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly Morita. I help those of you who want to move to Japan or who want to get help finding your path. And I'm so excited today to talk to you about how to move to Japan. So a lot of you guys DM me and ask me, how do I move to Japan? How do I find a place to live? How do I find a job? All of these questions are very well separate videos to make, but today in this video, I'm going to be talking about your general timeline when moving to Japan. So what do you need to do and when? And that is so important, especially now. What can you do now during this pandemic that can move the needle forward as soon as it's over? Because let's be honest, this pandemic is not going to be forever, and we know that. I know a lot of you guys are struggling in this situation, and I understand you, I get you. I'm totally becoming that lazy person that sits on the couch all day playing video games and watching Netflix all day. I'm slowly turning into that person, so I understand, but this time is literally the best time to start preparing. And there's not much you can do in the sense of moving or getting out or traveling, but this is the opportunity for you to take steps forward to get to that position. So once this whole pandemic is over, once it's done, then you can get that running start as soon as it ends. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be as transparent as possible and share with you this little checklist of what you should be doing and when. Before you start all of this, the one thing that you should get started with now is trying to figure out your why. Why do you want to move to Japan? Because there's a lot of people that move to the country and want to escape their own country because they feel like they've failed. They feel like they can't get a girlfriend. They feel like they can't get a boyfriend. They feel like they can't succeed in their job. They feel like everything is hopeless and hard and difficult. They have no interest in teaching and moving here, and they're not very open-minded. They come into a teaching position and they just hate it. They come here not knowing the language at all, and they just haven't prepared at all because their main reason was to escape. A lot of people do come here to start over, but you need to have a why you're moving to this particular country. What is it that you want to get out of this experience? Because you can't just move and have no plan. That's the issue, is people just escape their country and then they have this confidence now that they're in Japan because people think that their problems were left back in their home country. And then they start to realize the more they live here, the more those problems begin to recreate themselves. They come back, they followed you here. So don't think that moving to Japan is going to change your life drastically in that sense. So I want people to have a why that's real, that's part of what your purpose is and what you've set out to do. A lot of people come here to learn a new language. A lot of people come here to change people's lives, to learn about a different culture, and to implement the practices and strategies that they learned abroad into their life. A lot of people come here to explore different career options, meet new people, try new things in life so they can figure out what path they're meant to be taking. And that is too a very valid reason to be moving. There's so many different whys and reasons to moving to Japan. Some people have to because of their partner moving abroad and working here. So what is your why? So even if your partner is moving here, there are ways for you to figure out your why and what you're going to get out of this experience, because this is an incredible experience. You're moving to a new country with new people and a new culture, a new way of life. But don't come here thinking that your problems and your stresses are going to be gone when you move here, because there's just going to be new things that come up and new stresses and things that happened in the past that are going to come back up again. It's not going to be a easy transition. So don't try to escape yourself. You're coming here to meet yourself. So if you try to escape yourself, you're just never going to understand who you are and what you want out of life. And that is the biggest lesson before I get into this little checklist and this timeline for moving to this country. Going along with what I said about your why is starting to get to understand yourself, because mindset is huge when it comes to moving abroad. And you'll have a negative experience if you don't get that in check and if you don't understand yourself and you don't start asking yourself questions. Because a lot of us don't ask questions to ourselves because we feel that it's selfish of us. And that is such a limiting belief of ours. It's something that we've been taught since kids. Start to kind of put that aside. Now that you're home all day and doing nothing, most of the time, most people are doing that, is sitting on the couch. Start being selfish. Start practicing self-care, self-love. And I'm not talking about pampering yourself and taking a bath. That's all very good when it comes to hygiene and just keeping yourself clean and relaxed. But self-love, as in start developing your strengths. Start exploring more things that you love. Start asking yourself questions like, what do I want? What do I truly want? If I were to never fail at something, what would I do? I wasn't ready for the things that were about to unfold in my life here, and I wasn't resilient enough. And that's what I want people to become, is their resilient self, because your journey is all about becoming resilient. You want to be able to handle situations clearly. You want to get back up when you fall down right away, because that is what's going to ultimately make you a stronger person and a stronger human being. So start asking yourself questions, start getting to know yourself before you even come here. Because let's be honest, when you move here, a lot of people come here thinking they're only going to stay for a couple years, and then they end up staying longer and they lose sight of their purpose and what they really want, because everything is so comfortable and everything is so easy. And you want to get out of that comfort bubble. You want to be able to stay on your path and not lose sight of your purpose. So that's very important to consider before you move. It's the best time to really get to know yourself, and the best time to really understand your why you're moving here and what you want to get out of this whole experience, because that will give you that positive experience in the end. Now for your timeline, when to start what and when. So 1 year before you move to Japan, this is what you need to do. 1 year before you move to Japan, you want to be looking for a job. And I know that this whole timeline is very unclear right now, but in the next year, if you plan on moving to Japan, start looking for jobs. In 2021, start looking for jobs. And the issue with that is people are so picky. When you're looking for a job, don't be picky. You want to get your foot in the door. You want to get to the country, because it's easier to find new jobs when you move to Japan versus you being in your own country and trying to look for a job. It's very difficult because there's a lot of companies that won't hire from overseas, especially now. You don't want to find something that has horrible reviews to where it's like 80% of the people disliked the job, but try to look for something decent or in the middle. Meet yourself in the middle, because a lot of people want to find jobs that aren't related to teaching. And even if you don't want to go into teaching, it's a good idea to start with that for at least a year, for one contract period. It's a good idea to get your foot in the door, get a visa, and start your life here, because you're going to want some support. You're going to want to focus on your transition and not on your job. That's my advice to you. Don't be picky. If you don't want to be a teacher and you want to study here, that's a different story. Research the schools over here and what your university offers and things like that. What's required. If you need to know more Japanese, maybe you can start studying now, a year before you move to Japan. A year before you move to Japan, and getting a tutor or a teacher to learn some basic Japanese so you can get by and not stressed. I lived here by myself for 8 years, and if I didn't know any Japanese, I graduated with a Japanese degree. If I didn't know anything, then I would have been very stressed out. So start learning the language now. If your goal is to use Japanese in your job, then yes, I 100% think you should strive for fluency. And if you plan on doing working at an international company or something like that that involves language, or you want to go into translation, yes, fluency is very important. But also communicating with people here and learning their stories and things like that is going to make your experience so much better. So I highly recommend you do study the language as much as possible. Even if it's for 10 to 30 minutes a day, that's nothing. That's literally what I do in the mornings from 9:30 a.m. to 10. I just study a grammar point or some vocabulary from my mountain of textbooks that I have. A year before, you want to create a resume if you don't have one already, or you want to update it. Depending on what position you're getting, make sure that you change your resume to suit whatever position you're looking for. So update your resume, make sure you have the language necessary for whatever position you're doing. The next thing you want to do a year before is to research your visa regulations. You need a job first before you get a visa, so it's not necessary to fill out any visa applications yet until you found a job, because your employer will give you the documents necessary to give to the Japanese embassy wherever you live, and you will have to apply for a COE, a certificate of eligibility to get a visa, and that can take some time. You can't really apply for that until you have some kind of job secured. That's what I learned. It may have changed, so you might want to look that up. You want to get together any of your diplomas, copies of that. You want to get together any transcripts that you got from your school, any letters to prove your work experience, maybe some letters of recommendation and things like that, just in case, because when you apply for a visa or when you apply for a job, you might need one of those things. So start researching those things. Research is all about that first year. Start researching places to live. You can go on gaijinpot.com and find some apartments on there. If anybody has any recommendations for that, if you found a better website, please comment down below to help others. Jet gives you an apartment, so I wasn't experienced in finding an apartment from abroad. But like I said in my last video, I talked about a service called Homey, where you can stay with a Japanese family and they can help you set everything up, and you can learn about the culture, speak the language. It's a very good service for people who just don't know how to find an apartment. It's much easier to get one when you're here. So just research in your first year. 6 to 8 months before you move to Japan. If you have any medical issues or you have allergies, it's a good idea to fill out a yakan shome. And I talked about this in one of my older videos, and I think I have some links still, so I'll copy and paste those links down below. If you have allergies and you don't speak the language very well, you can get allergy cards, and they'll make one for you and send it to your house. It's very cheap. And I used to carry that when I was 17. The first time I first time I lived in Japan, I was 17 and I carried around that card. And it helped a lot to show the staff. And nowadays, Japan is very good with allergies. They used to not understand them as well. And it was very hard for me to really communicate how severe it is, but it will explain that on the allergy card. So I'll try to find the website and link that down below. Yakan shome is something that you fill out for carrying medication for over 3 months. You have to fill that out if you bring over 3 months worth of medication. So inhalers, contact lenses, any kind of medication that needs attention, and make sure that it's legal here. You can look that up on the government website. That is something that you should start getting together 6 to 8 months before you move to Japan. Start selling and organizing your stuff. Figure out how you're going to pack your life into 2 suitcases plus a carry-on and a backpack, because that's all you can bring. A lot of stuff you can get here, a lot of stuff you can get online, even international things, which I'll make another video about how I get a lot of the stuff that I get from abroad, what companies I use, and all of that stuff. Read forums, watch YouTube videos, do some research online, but don't believe everything everyone says, because there's a lot of information out there. Use your intuition, but YouTube is really your best bet because there's a lot of influencers on here that are talking about their life here. So check YouTube. I feel like that's the best place to find more information. You might have to do some deeper research when you get here. So just be mindful of the things that are crawling around online. 4 to 6 months before you move to Japan, finalize any payments or contracts that you have in your home country. This is the time where you should start really selling your stuff and canceling some contracts and subscriptions and payments. Talk to your phone company, really get organized with your payments. Get a debit card or a credit card because you can use your credit or debit cards. Talk to your bank to make sure everything is finalized and okay for you to use in another country. In Japan, in any 7-Eleven, you can take out money internationally, and I always go there to take out money from my American bank. So just talk to your bank and see what the options are. It costs about $5 for me to take out a large amount of money, so that depends on your bank. 1 to 2 months before moving to Japan, make copies of everything, your certificates, your prescriptions for medications, any important documents that you filled out for the Japan embassy or anything, just make copies of them just in case. Yes, you need vaccinations. Get your vaccinations at this time. Usually your employer will tell you what you need, but you can research what you need online. It's very simple, but you do need vaccinations. I had to get them before I came here. I had to do a background check and everything, and I did that about 3 months before I moved, and it was hectic. It depends on what you're doing, what your job is, but Japan definitely needs vaccinations. So check out what you're missing. Travel insurance is a good idea. Most credit card companies have travel insurance, and you can call up your card company and see what they offer. For the first year, it's good to have that. So research your options, see what you have now. That's very important. This is the time to pack and spend time with your family a couple months before. Do the things that you're not gonna be able to do for a very long time. And it's very bittersweet, but start packing your stuff at least a month in advance. 1 week before, you probably have already done this already, but talk to your bank and let them know that you're moving to Japan and there might be charges on your card from Japan. Otherwise, they'll shut down your card and you won't have any access to it. So you want to just clarify and make sure that's all set up and ready to go. And this is the time a week before to relax and take deep breaths, get yourself hyped again, watch some YouTube videos, read some books about Japan. Just map out what you want to do here, what you want to see. Because you know, the first few weeks are that honeymoon stage and you're gonna be excited. You're gonna wanna see a lot of things and experience a lot of things. Also download the Meetup app. You might get a new phone when you move here, or you can use your own phone. There's a lot of SIM cards that you can get for your phone here in Japan. Even at the airport, they have that available, so you can look into that or you can look online. So that is your moving to Japan timeline. Remember, you can always start studying Japanese, knowing your why, getting to know yourself a little bit more, asking what you want out of this experience. It's very important to know. And then next year, you can start looking for jobs and start taking some notes and getting as much information into your head as possible. That's when you can really start researching. I think by next year, there's going to be a better situation. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I know a lot of you do want to move to Japan, but it's been very hard and a lot of trips have been canceled. So don't worry, it's not gonna last and things are gonna be fine. So do what you can now and get a head start, because why not? I wrote up a checklist in the description down below. If you go to my website, you can download that checklist. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. Like this video if you want more information. If you have any other videos that you want me to make on the topic of moving to Japan and what the transition is like, if you need any help or have any questions with that, please leave them down below. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.